For 12.3 task 2, we are going to be looking at the trapezoidal cactus garden here. So we can see that this is not a parallelogram. This line here and this line here are not the same. They're not going at the same angle there. They're eventually going to intersect. So we do not have, has four sides, but because these are going to intersect and it only has one set of parallel sides, we have a trapezoid. So when we're doing that trapezoid, remember, we want to take the bottom base and the top base, which I cut off in my picture. We'll have to find that. So I take whatever base 1 is and I add it with base 2. So we're finding that big parallelogram there. Then I'm going to times this. So I need to add these first. Then I times that by the height and I cut the whole thing in half. So I add my bases together to make a big parallelogram, times it by how high it is, then cut it back in half to make that trapezoid. So our dimensions here, we have base 1, we can see is 6 meters. And it looks like this is 8 meters. So base 2 is 8. And then the height straight up and down connecting the two bases is 3. So we have all the things we need. Now this problem is using half, right? That's what dividing by 2 is. We want half of this problem. So we can either times it by a half or we can divide it by 2. That's the same thing. They're just opposites of each other. So we need to plug in what we know. So we want half of the height is 3. And then we're adding our bases together. Okay, so now we're adding what's inside the parentheses, which is here. So 6 plus 8 goes here. And we still just bring that down. So we added the parentheses to make 14. Now we need to multiply 3 times 14, the big base times the height. So go ahead and do 14 times 3. So there's 12, 3, 4 is 42. Now I'm going to let you divide this how you want. So we can either take half of 42, which turns into 42 over 2, and we need to simplify it, or we know that timesing by half is the same thing as 42 divided by 2. So we're just taking 42 and I want half of 42, and that answer is going to be here in F. And then it's square meters, which I already put the label there for you. So add your bases, base 1, base 2, add it together to make one big parallelogram. Times it by how high it is to find the area of the parallelogram, then cut it in half to get back to your trapezoid.